So many guys think they have a motivation problem when it comes to getting in shape and staying consistent with an exercise routine, but actually what they really struggle with is an energy problem. In this video, we're going to talk about what I call the 5 energy buckets that we need to be replenishing so that you have mental and physical energy, and then also 3 of the biggest energy and motivational killers. So by the end of this video, you'll be very clear on some of the things that are zapping your energy and making you feel demotivated, how to offset that so that you can stay more consistent and achieve your fitness goals. So if you're new here, I'm Dean. I'm a former military physical trainer, and for the past 12 to 13 years, I've been focused primarily on helping men lose fat, get stronger and fitter, and take control of their health. So the way to think about your energy is, if your energy is low, you're going to feel demotivated, you're going to have low moods, and when you're operating in that kind of state, then more likely than not, you're going to skip workouts, you're going to want to eat crap food and not be prepared. Therefore, you're going to be inconsistent when it comes to achieving your fitness goals. So we want to think about your energy, both physical and mental. Kind of like the battery on your phone, the more you use it, the more demands put on it, the more you're going to deplete the performance. And without replenishing, charging the phone up, then it's pretty much impossible that you're going to get performance. So there's 5 main buckets that we want to focus on replenishing. They're also the things that get you in shape. So we'll dive into each one of them individually. The first big one being sleep. A lot of guys in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, kids, maybe a business to run or a busy career, not a lot of time to themselves. Sometimes when we feel like we've got that last hour to spend with the missus, or if you're on your own at night, it's often spent doom scrolling or glued to Netflix episodes, and I'm all for that. But if we're doing too much of it and to the detriment of our sleep, then we're going to be operating on low energy, and we're also going to have heightened hunger. When you're not getting enough quality sleep, your hunger hormones are elevated, your physical and mental output is going to dip. So you're more likely to eat junk food, skip workouts, or if you're really disciplined and staying consistent with your fitness, then they're going to be crap workouts. More often than not, you're not going to feel strong and powerful, setting new personal records, and your recovery between those workouts is going to be really poor. So ultimately, you're going to struggle to see the progress and the gains that you really want to be seeing. So we really want to be aiming for 7 hours sleep as a minimal, but what's actually most important is having a consistent bedtime routine. Most people are just too inconsistent with the time they go to the bed, the time they get off screens, and just putting even a little bit of boundaries in place. So that might be going to bed 15 minutes earlier than you usually do, having a set cut-off time to get off screens to allow your mind and your brain to wind down, because screens at night, bright light at night tells your body that it's still daytime. The brain doesn't really discriminate between sunlight and screen light, artificial light. It just thinks it's still daytime, so it keeps the daytime hormones ticking along like cortisol, and it can inhibit your melatonin production, which is your recovery hormone that should be in production in the evening, but the light limits that. So we're not going to dive too deeply into each one, but we'll briefly cover enough that you need to know, just because we could make whole videos on these different sections on their own. So getting some consistency with a bedtime can transform someone's energy. I see it happen all the time just by making a little rule, getting off the mobile phone and screens at a consistent time every night, and having a little wind down period for 20 minutes before they actually go to sleep. The next thing being movement. Our body is designed to move. It's estimated that our ancestors who were hunter-gatherers probably walked in excess, I think it might have been around 18,000 steps per day, could be more. And that was just to do normal daily business. That wasn't like physical training, physical exercise. It was just hunting, gathering, building shelters, all the usual stuff that would have contributed to community and survival back in the hunter-gatherer days. These days, life is very much convenient. A lot of people work from home, work on their ass, sitting behind an office desk. When I was a child, not every family had a car. These days, it's common to see 2 cars in the driveway, sometimes 3 cars in the driveway. We can order food and have it delivered to the door without getting off your ass from watching Netflix. So when we don't move, not only do we get poor energy through poor circulation, but our metabolism also starts to downshift because we lose muscle mass. We are not as active. We don't have as much physical demands on the body. With less muscle mass, your body generally burns less energy as well. So it actually makes it harder to burn body fat, get leaner and stay leaner if you're getting like sub 4,000 steps a day. And I can tell you right now, from all the guys that I coach, the guys who work from home or work an office job and struggle to get over 4, 5, 6,000 steps a day, those are the guys that also struggle with things like depression, low mood, low consistency with their fitness routines just because of how they're feeling more often. But often, if I can find ways to help them get more active just by general daily movement, they feel better more often, both physically and mentally. They have better energy, better motivation, and that also starts to increase their adherence to the fitness and training programs. So we need to make sure that we're getting a minimum of 7,000 steps a day, ideally 10,000 plus, to be really healthy, have good energy and feel motivated more often. My apologies, I just realised that I've forgotten to talk about the hydration element. So your brain and your body thrives on that liquidy environment, and although we are incredibly adaptable, the human body, we can get by on suboptimal amounts of nutrition, hydration, and a lot of guys are just scraping by in relation to their energy, their cognitive performance. Once we fix that hydration element, it can actually be life-changing, but so many people, I think, underrate this or overlook it because it's a simple fix. So what I'd recommend you start doing, if you aren't already, start hitting 2 litres of water a day. Buy yourself a little water bottle, keep that with you at all times, fill it up before bed as part of your evening routine so that it's there and you have that target every day, whether that's 2 times 1 litre bottles or having the 1 2 litre bottle, and your energy and levels of focus and motivation can transform. Next thing is nutrition. When it comes to weight loss and fat loss, there's this garbage advice that gets floated around. Move more, eat less. It's quite lazy advice, it's quite unhelpful. What more people actually need to do is eat more nutritious foods, and we find that a lot of the guys who I've worked with and have got leaner in their 40s than they were in their 20s, more muscle in their 40s and 50s than they had in their 20s, they feel like they eat more food than what they did previously, and really they're eating less calories, but nutritious single ingredient whole foods tends to be lower in calories, higher in food volume, higher in fibre, higher in essential vitamins and minerals. If you have some key mineral and vitamin deficiencies, that can show up in your day-to-day as lethargy, food cravings, usually makes you crave for junk food and sugary snacks, which increases your calorie intake, spikes your insulin levels, spikes your blood sugar levels, causes energy crashes later in the day, and you kind of stay stuck in this vicious circle because you think your energy is low, which it is because high blood sugars, because of some of the food choices that you're making, and you feel like you need a bit of a pick-me-up, but you're choosing a lot of the times the wrong foods, and that's impacting your energy, your mood, your levels of motivation, and keeping you stuck in this kind of limbo land where you just can't break out of that rut. So when you start to prioritise more nutritious foods at your meal times, higher protein, higher fibre, lots of colourful plants, fruits and vegetables, your energy transforms. Your calorie intake comes down because you have more stable blood sugars, you're getting more fibre, you're getting more protein, you're getting more quality nutrients, and that often translates to being more consistent with your workouts and having less motivational issues as well. So again, we could do 10 individual videos on nutrition and all the different aspects, but just know we want to start increasing the amount of single ingredient foods at your meals, even if you start with 1 meal a day. One meal that's not ticking a lot of the key boxes, getting enough protein, fruits and vegetables, fibre, and just tackle that. Ideally breakfast. Breakfast is one that a lot of guys usually kind of slack off, or they eat a high carb breakfast, be it a cereal, muesli, granola or porridge, but missing a lot of protein and maybe a lot of fruit and veg. Something like overnight oats with protein powder in it, or having some eggs in an omelette to start your day can eliminate a lot of energy problems through the late morning, early afternoon, which will also eliminate a lot of your poor snacking habits, which then translates into getting leaner, fitter and stronger. So nutrition is a massive one, not just cutting back on foods to lose fat and get in shape. Next thing is physical exercise. So again, kind of ties into movement, but I like to separate them both because we have general movement, trying to be as active as possible, just doing the low intensity things. And then we've got physical exercise. We were designed to work physically, and most of us don't get that from manual jobs anymore. I used to be in the military for 11 years. I was a military physical trainer, and I got all that by default, just by doing my job. Having left the military in 2014, straight into running boot camps, training people in lots of different capacities, one-to-one, large groups, small groups. I was getting all that built in, as well as doing my own physical training. But then becoming a full-time online remote coach, I have noticed a big dip in my mood, energy and motivation just by being less active. So probably going from 15,000 steps a day to 7 to 10,000 steps, and being in the seated position a long time. Postural issues, stiff neck, tight shoulders, pecs, everything gets tight, and it also impacts my mood. I have to use a lot more willpower to get my workouts done. I get them done, but it's just harder to do. And you would think the more active you are, the more physically exertive your life is, you would be knackered all the time. But it's a different kind of knackered. It's a different kind of tired. It's a good feeling of physically tired and properly exerted. And by the way, the difference in like mental health and mental sharpness is way better. So physical exercise, we want to be exerting the muscles, we want to be creating sweat, because your sweat glands are your body's drainage system. This is how we get rid of lots of toxins. And too many guys are just not sweating on a regular basis. But a little bit of cardio, a little bit of strength training, even if you're limited on time, 2 strength workouts a week, 1 to 2 cardio sessions a week, whether that's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes a piece, building this stuff into your week as not just a reactive measure to feeling demotivated, but understanding it's going to help you perform and show up better in all areas, from your business, if you run a business, or your career and your profession, and also around the home. I help guys get in shape who have kids. The difference in their relationship with their children, they have better moods around their families when they are healthier, fitter, not just as a byproduct of having a better aesthetic looking body, but the act of consistently exercising and recharging all these elements. They are better people to be around, less crabby, less moody. So more times than not, we see somebody start to improve performance in all areas: profession, family life, and also the physique and body when we start recharging these buckets. Right, now we want to move on to some other things. And I'm not suggesting that you eliminate these things entirely, unless of course you want to, but we can't highlight the things that need to be recharged without also highlighting some of the things that's going to deplete your energy and your mood and your motivation, no matter how much you fill these buckets up. These are going to make a big difference. Alcohol being the number one culprit. Alcohol is a toxin. I reckon if it was discovered today, it would be a class A illegal drug, but there's just too much money in alcohol. And where I grew up, in a Glasgow social housing scheme and then joining the military, alcohol is culture, and it's normal to drink. It's normal to drink for anything, whether you're celebrating something, whether you are watching football, whether you are down, depressed about something, dealing with a hard life change or loss in your life, or if it's just fucking Friday, then most people turn to alcohol. So if you don't drink, if you're teetotal, or if you're somebody who rarely has a drink, then you're an oddball. There's something wrong with you. And that's very difficult to break out of that culture. But for a lot of guys, when they do, everything starts to improve in life. Let me just give you a wee example. Let's say you didn't drink alcohol for a month or two, and then you have one drink on a Sunday night. Notice how that one drink can impact your energy on the Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. We have all these metabolic processes to help us break down, digest and absorb nutrients from macronutrients like protein, fats and carbs. We have all the bodily processes pre-installed from the factory to do that. We don't have that to help us deal with the calories that come from alcohol. This is another energy source, but it's a very complicated energy source, and your body puts a lot of other bodily processes on hold for somewhere up to 3 days to excrete the toxins and metabolize the energy that comes from this source. And that's why you can feel really low after 1, 2, just 3 pints on a Saturday or a Sunday for a few days. So just know that if you're in the habit, if you're a drinker, what I class as a drinker is somebody that drinks every weekend. It's just part of your life. You don't have to be an alcoholic who's dependent on it every day. In my books, to have an alcohol problem, if the thought of, this is going to sound a bit harsh, some people are going to be triggered by it, but I don't care, because I used to be one of these people, so I have that experience and I can say it. If the thought of doing dry January is a big achievement for you, then you have an alcohol problem. If you couldn't go 2 weeks without having a drink. Something to consider, it's impacting your performance, your mood, your motivation. The next one is stimulants and caffeine. Highly recommend checking out a video by The Natural Edge on YouTube. He has a cracking video on caffeine and how it's inhibiting your performance. The amount of guys that I come across, because they come to me to get in shape, they have low energy, they're struggling with motivation. I find a lot of the time they drink a lot of coffee, or they drink a lot of caffeine containing stimulants like Red Bull, Rockstar, and some of those other energy drinks. When we cut back on a lot of this and set some boundaries, just like we do with screen time in the evenings, having a caffeine curfew, sticking to 1 to 2 a day, energy, motivation and mood skyrockets. And so there's adherence with all these things, and hence get better results for their fitness and physique. The last one is chronic stress. If you're chronically stressed, your body's in survival mode, your mind's in survival mode, and you don't have built-in outlets to deal with that stress, which is a lot of people. A lot of the time it's organisational skills, not making time, not planning properly, not putting in buffers to outlet stress, especially if you run a business, you have kids, you're also trying to get in shape, you've got a lot on your plate. your stress levels are going to be up, and they're going to be up chronically. And that's not a good place to live, because it is damaging your health, and that's why you struggle with motivation, you struggle with energy. And actually working on all these things, having systems and little habits in your week that replenish all these buckets will help lower the stress. All the things that replenish energy, lower stress, are the things that also get you the results that you probably want to see for your body: losing fat, building more muscle. There's another equation to this when it comes to being organised, planning, time blocking, having systems that help eliminate the need for willpower, discipline and motivation. We're going to cover that in a part 2 version of this video. This one is to really highlight, as long as your energy is being depleted and not being replenished, you're never going to fix the motivation thing, and you're always going to be fighting against that. So start fixing these things, and it's going to make a big difference. I hope you found this helpful. If you're a guy over 30 who is looking for more help to lose fat, build strength and muscle, and ultimately take control of your health, you can get on the free Dad Bod Debrief. The link to that will be somewhere around this video, in the description or on my page bio. It's a series of micro missions with all the best stuff that I know to help you lose fat, build strength and muscle, and take control of your health. If you found this valuable, do me a favour, hit the like button, because it does show the video and the channel to more people. And if you have any questions or any pointers you want to contribute, put them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.